The corridor walls thundered with my father's voice before I even rounded the corner. Yellow tiles broke the hospital's sterile white and suffocated the morning light that paled through glass bricks. My mother sat on a low plastic bench, hands folded around a rosary, eyes clamped shut against reality. Aunt Mary perched beside her, worried lips pressed thin. Dad saw me and his brow furrowed deeper. We'd been here since dawn, hoping my brother would wake from another asthma attack, and I'd spent the night half awake, half in the world of the broken plot outline tucked in my battered bag. Dad motioned me over, hard and sharp. "Now is not the time, Samuel," he hissed, voice a whip, as if hope was a crime. "I was just writing. It calms me down," I said, not for the first time. "We need you to help with the bills, not waste your hours with," he waved vaguely. "Those stories, those." "The film script," I tried, voice even. Aunt Mary shifted. "Sammy, please, your family needs you. How will these movies feed your brother?" Her tone wore concern like armor, but it still pricked. Mum opened her eyes, glassy with fatigue and prayer. "We can pray for your big dreams, but you must face life." The rosary's click was a punctuation final. I stood there, gripping my notebook, fury throbbing low behind my calm. My throat was tight. I wanted to shout, to lay out my plan, a detailed, focused pitch for the film I believed could be made, even with Nairobi's ceaseless skepticism. But I was 17, full of untested stories, an imagination that only brought me trouble. I wanted to say, "Steady your faith in me just for a moment." Instead, I lowered my voice. "Just let me try, Mum, please. Let me try." Dad shook his head, pity and frustration wrestling for dominance. "You are dreaming, son. Jobless men die with dreams in their heads." That day imprinted itself under my skin like a splinter. I watched over Ben's hospital bed when my parents went home for lunch, sketching scenes on napkins because the notebook's last dozen pages were filled. I watched monitors blink in the darkness and wondered if I would ever hear applause or only the flat beep of disapproval stretched over decades. By the time Ben left hospital, everyone around me worked harder to box me in. I could sweep, fetch water, sell roasted maize on the highway verge, anything but fritter nights hunched over an old laptop with missing keys, sweating out stories like a fever. Every small success, a YouTube short, a local bursary, was met with suspicious encouragement, not real support. At dinner, Dad would half smile. "Soon you'll get tired of this and then find work." I learned to bury my rage in patience. In town, I was a novelty, Sam the movie boy. Cousins jeered at weddings, uncles grunted about wasted talent, and former classmates whispered, "Do you still play filmmaker or have you grown up yet?" The harder I clung on, the deeper I was dismissed. The streets of Nairobi were busy and indifferent, but somehow anonymity gave me the courage I couldn't find at home. I started working early mornings at a matatu terminus, sweeping the dust for coins. The city belonged to hustlers. I was one, but my hustle was filmmaking. I bought a battered second-hand DSLR from a friend of a friend and scavenged for YouTube tutorials late into the night. I shot everything: street preachers, bodas weaving traffic, county hawkers with their stories tattooed onto their faces. I made a short film about my brother's illness, calling it Breathless. It was shaky, too dark in spots, but people messaged me on WhatsApp about it, mothers from Kybra, students from Kale. An NGO bought the rights for a child wellness campaign. That money, 15,000 shillings, felt unreal. I bought Ben medicine and paid overdue school fees with it. I tried to show Dad the campaign video once, but he only grunted, "Nice, good, you're helping people. Are you finally applying for that supermarket job?" Something inside me cooled. My anger no longer burned, it froze. I realized all my protestations, all my attempts to show him my small victories were wasted. Serenity slid over me, a shell that muted disappointment. I decided to prove myself not with explanations but by succeeding completely. For years, each day repeated its struggle. I freelanced at weddings, funerals, music videos. I saved every extra shilling. I wrote scripts by torchlight when city power cuts smothered our estate at night. My friends, the ones who believed, left for Europe or the Gulf. I pushed ahead alone. I entered a short film festival, submitting a piece called Mulika, about a night watchman in Kariobangi with a broken torch and broken dreams. Shooting it took 2 months and the last of my savings. When I saw my film in a real theatre, sound trembling from panel speakers, I bit my tongue to stop the tears. I won Best Narrative, a trophy and a grant. The moment they called my name, my hands trembled, and I searched the back rows for a familiar face. My father was not there. The money was enough to buy new equipment and fund my next project, a mystery thriller about 2 matatu drivers caught in a web of corruption. I found collaborators slowly, other outcasts, voices too small for big budgets and networks. Long after my high school peers had settled into steady jobs and marriages and hollowed out routines, I was still running, chasing days from the moment before sunrise till the last neighbor's rooftop TV flickered blue on the estate's walls. For a decade, I made films that found small audiences at home, wider ones abroad. Sometimes a cousin would message, "Hey, saw your film on YouTube," but my family still clung to skepticism. Their approval became memory, irrelevant, then quaint, then almost forgotten. One grey morning, the city's air sharp as metal, I woke to an email, Sundance Film Festival. My second feature had been accepted, the first Kenyan film in competition that year. In the same inbox, an invitation came from a big international distributor. For a mad moment, hope and anger collided and melted together. I called Dad out of habit or hunger. "My film got in, it's a big festival, maybe it'll be in cinemas here soon." A pause, then, "That's good, Sam, will you come home this weekend? We need to talk about your brother's college." The serenity I'd learned to live in spread again. I didn't argue. I sent Ben his fees, arranged my travel to the US, and for a moment let that be enough. Sundance was wind and snow and endless faces with sharp questions but genuine curiosity. My stories were my shield. The crowd was different, but their eyes were the same, skeptical, eager, hungry. On premiere night, when the credits rolled and the clapping didn't stop, I felt the roof lift and the air flood in. For the first time, I owned the truth. I was exactly who I had fought to be. The international distribution deal followed. Screens in Paris, Nairobi, Tokyo, even a newspaper interview in our local language paper headlined, "Local boys' film triumphs abroad." Friends sent clippings to my family, who hung them in the living room out of pride or confusion or some mix of both. After years away, the distributor set up a gala screening in Nairobi. They asked if I wanted to host the premiere in my home neighborhood. I agreed for one reason: I wanted my skeptics to see. The old cinema hall in the Westlands district was packed, though the seats were worn and the city clamored outside. Red carpet fabric ran over cracked pavement like a dare. Huge banners hung above the doors with my face, younger and more hopeful than I felt inside. Dad insisted on driving us. He wore my late grandfather's suit jacket, shoulders stretched. Mum wore her church best, eyes wary but shining. Ben came too, his breath measured and healthy, already taller than me. Outside, dozens waited, relatives, neighbors, half the estate's youth, the teachers who told me to quit daydreaming and fix my grades. Old rivals, even some of the men who mocked me in childhood, showed up shaking hands as if we'd always been teammates. I felt anger boil faintly, then resolve. Let them see. The lobby was thick with perfume and dust. Inside, the air was electric, everyone waiting to see if Nairobi's movie boy could live up to the hype. A hush fell and the screen blazed into life. It wasn't just a film. It was the Nairobi sprawl, the red dusk, the clangor of matatus leaping curbs, the language of our people left untranslatable but immediate nonetheless. My characters came alive exactly as I'd seen them all those years ago, struggling, failing, fighting to survive and laugh and persist in the filth and splendor of our city. Halfway through, I glanced down the row. Dad sat trembling, jaw tight, hand knotted on Mum's. Mum had tears rolling silently, her lips moving in a prayer. I scanned the audience, faces once pinched with scorn now open, stunned. No catcalls, no jeering. For the first time, they were listening. When the film ended and the lights came up, there was a moment, a pure moment of total silence. Then the clapping exploded, a shockwave that hit the walls and bounced back twice as loud. People stood, shouted my name, thrust hands out for mine. I walked to the front, legs shaking so much I thought I might drop. Dad reached for my arm as I passed. He squeezed, not hard but deeply, his eyes bright. For the first time since that awful hospital corridor, I saw pride untethered from all the old fears. "Sam," he murmured, "you made us see, you made us proud." Aunt Mary was crying, dabbing her eyes with my mother's headscarf. The cousins, once so dismissive, came forward, all eager grins and apologies. Some wanted to pose for photos. One or two just hugged me, silent and trembling. Outside, the city night was warm, smells of roast corn and cigarettes and two-stroke engines clouding the air. We walked together, my parents on either side, Ben behind, the crowd thinning as they trailed towards stalls and alleys. The anger that had shaped me all those years drained away, replaced by something gentler but deeper, serenity that had survived the furnace. Dad took my shoulder as we reached the lot. His voice was low and raw. "I wanted safety for you." The world is cruel, but you, he took a breath. You fought for your dream, you didn't let us stop you. He shook his head, smiling now. I was wrong, Sam, I see now. The city lay glittering ahead, full and alive. From a distance, the argument in that old hospital corridor felt like a scene in a film, faded but important. The pain didn't vanish, but it softened at the edges. We drove home late, the city lights falling behind us. Mum hummed a gospel tune softly. Dad stared out at the darkness, a small smile curling his mouth. Ben, beside me, nudged my knee. Sam, he whispered, can you teach me how to shoot? I want to make a film too. I nodded, words thick in my throat. Out the window, Nairobi's neon bled into dusk and possibility. I let the anger fade for good, and in its place, serenity finally took root. That night I sat in my old bedroom, my festival trophy on the table beside the cracked laptop that helped me start all this. The applause still echoed in my chest. But it wasn't the sound that stayed, it was the sight of my family, my community, opening the door I'd been banging on all my life. It was proof, it was home. I scribbled a note on the back of that first hospital napkin, full circle. For the ones who doubted and the boy who never did. Then I closed my eyes and let the city's music carry me into tomorrow.